Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the YouTube channel. And what an exciting time this is too. You're going to be getting this video on the Eclipse Gateway, or the Eclipse Corridor as it's sometimes called. And we have a very special guest here with us today. We're with Krasi Attasio. Krasi, lovely to have you back to talk about the Eclipse Gateway, Eclipse Corridor, and also to talk about talismans, which is a very special thing that you do with astrology. Welcome to the channel again, Krasi.
Very kind of you. Thank you so much, Ksenia. My pleasure. My pleasure. Because this video will be placed also on my channel, I just also want to say to people to see your channel, because you're looking at astrology also differently. You apply the Vedic ancient Indian astrology to the modern zodiac. So there are people who love the modern zodiac, and to them this may seem very, very interesting, and it is certainly. Thank you, Ksenia.
Thank
yes, we spoke also last time with you, and also now. You know, these eclipses are very interesting. 5 of them this year, so we decided to
Very
to
powerful, very
discuss.
powerful. But these, we're just having 2 now, and there'll be 3 later on in the year. But these 2, yeah, they're very, very interesting eclipses. I mean, did you want to share a little bit about the eclipses to begin with, Krasi? Your perspective?
Yes, we may start first. I like to look at them as a corridor, like they go in couples. You have usually first one of them, one the solar, and then the lunar, or the other way around. So we need to look them as a corridor, or how gateway, like you said, because this is a cycle which opens and closes. And actually, important point to say, it is very hard from the point of view of eclipses to give specific timing of events, because let's say the first one will have impact on our lives for, let's say, 3 months and 10 days, like the ancients would describe. Then the second one, which comes only 14 days later, would have impact on our lives for, let's say, 6 months or 3 years. And these energies pile up, and you cannot say immediately after the eclipse this event will take place as a result of the eclipse. But they are certainly portals, like this corridor or gateway. It's always a portal for change.
Yes, it's when the potential of the eclipse to manifest something, they overlap one another. So the first one, in this case, it's a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse.
Exactly.
Is going to be active for a certain period of time before and after the actual eclipse. And then it's followed 2 weeks later by a new moon or a solar eclipse that's active, a few days, sometimes up to a week to 2 weeks beforehand and after. So what we're talking about here, guys, is when that lunar eclipse and that solar eclipse and their period of effectiveness overlap one another. And you're in this sort of very intense, like, birth canal almost into a whole new life. So very magical time, isn't it, Krasi?
It is. And the other thing is, the eclipses are always described as very, very sad, dramatic events. Now, I think this is because we are always resisting change. Every one of us, even people who say, no, I love change. I think people are afraid from the new. Therefore, the eclipses, are perceived as something very, very heavy, hard. Yes, the energies around the eclipse are heavy, but you cannot have the new if the old is not gone, right? So this is why the eclipses, let's look at them as portals for change without being afraid. This is what I want to say.
I love that perspective.
Now, briefly, yes, because we form our reality. Now, briefly, the Babylonian perspective. Yes, they would look at the eclipses as if maybe they were very dramatic events. Always they would search for omens, and they would make remedies to deny the evil which the eclipse caused. Always the eclipses were very important for the royal figures. Sargon the Great, was obsessed, and his astronomers around him were obsessed with eclipses, because they knew this is having impact because, you know, especially the solar directly has impact on the royal figures. They had one very interesting, I would say remedy, but yeah, it's not remedy really. When they would see after eclipse, let's say that the royal figure, the king, is endangered, temporarily they're taking a double replacement who is ruling for the time of the, let's say, the period of danger, the hardship, and they kill him so that this person, they take a beggar or somebody, so they kill the person after that, because otherwise the king would die. So the replacement is taking the karma and the omen, which is meant to for the
All on the
king.
king.
So
It's
very ugly,
terrible.
ugly one.
That poor,
Yes,
poor dude. My goodness.
yes, yeah, but they
Yes.
did that, really. They did. I found it in different literature, you know, sources.
Mm.
So you see, when you, of course, you are not in the Northern Hemisphere, so for you, maybe, you know, oftentimes, Xenia, people on my channel ask me, oh, say something from Australia, for Australia, New Zealand. Maybe you should give a little bit of, you know, about your hemisphere. This is important because I never do that on my channel. This would
Yes.
be good.
Well, certainly, like we are entering into this eclipse gateway period as we're talking about, but right before the eclipse occurs, we're going to be having equinox. And that, to me, equinoxes and solstices are when the differences between the two hemispheres really get highlighted, because we, for example, in weather astrology, we look at the declination of the sun and the other planets above or below the ecliptic plane, and that determines, you know, whether the weather's going to be stable, whether the weather's going to be fractious and, you know, more extreme than usual. It's so interesting, but it all depends on your location, either above the equator or below the equator, which hemisphere you're in, as to how those effects play out weather-wise. And of course, there
Yes.
are other ways that equinox and solstices affect us too, but it's all very hemispheric. So they're very important. But the visibility of these two eclipses is something very interesting as well. I mean, in ancient Babylonian times, correct me if I'm wrong here, Krasi, but they believed that the countries in which the eclipses, whether they are full moon eclipse or a new moon eclipse, the countries that they were visible in would be the ones that are affected by the eclipse. So the lunar eclipse that by the time this video comes out, we will have just had, that's moving pretty much across the, it's like at least 50% of the globe's going to see this rather big lunar eclipse across the States and the Pacific Ocean and into sort of China, Russia, and, you know, Western Australia and the Asian continents. But the solar eclipse that's coming up on the 8th of April is only going to be seen in a very narrow pathway cutting its way across the US. So, as you know, the lunar eclipses tend to affect the masses, the populace, the people, represented by big lunar eclipses are always very visible eclipses. Solar eclipses are less visible by large groups of people, and they actually pertain, because it's the sun that's being eclipsed, they pertain to the leadership and the hierarchies. So
Yes.
it's a very, very interesting time. This eclipse gateway can affect both leadership and the people, the masses, because both of these effects are at play in between the eclipse. And so really, when you talk about the lower hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, or the northern hemisphere, when we're talking about eclipses in that regard, it really depends where you're standing on the Earth, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, what you're going to see and how much of the eclipse you'll be able to view. The solar eclipse on the 8th of April is not going to be able to be seen by anyone in the southern hemisphere, only people in the northern hemisphere in the United States. So yeah, it's different depending on where you sit on the little globe that we're all
Very
on.
true. And Xenia, people were asking me this comet, which is coming actually, and it will be quite visible at the moment of the second eclipse, the solar one, on the 8th of April. I didn't research enough, and you cannot research enough this comet in particular, you know, you can never have enough information on comets.
Wow.
But this is also an omen, you know, the comet will be approaching quite
I
near the
haven't heard
timing of the
about that. Wow.
yes. Mm, yes, indeed. We have to, maybe other time we will discuss more on the comet, because this requires serious research. And like I'm telling you, you can't find so much information on this comet. Anyway, yes, the ancients would, because they wouldn't have our technical possibilities to see how the eclipse will be looking on the other side of the globe. They are dividing, the lunar sphere, and they see which part is darkening first. Then this part is responsible for this part of the world. And so then wind, if there is a wind from which part, whether this is east, west, this also has to do with the map of the world.
Right.
This
The
is more
weather.
or less how the
The weather.
yes, yes. Also, we divide the day into watches and the night into watches, depending in which watch the eclipse takes place. Now, the first one I was calculating is happening in a watch which is responsible for duration of the impact of the eclipse, 10 months and 20 days, and is having impact on ancient Subartu, which has to do, I think, Russia. It will have impact on Russia, and also because it is happening, it also has to do with ancient Akkad, which has to do with Europe. So the first one will very much impact Europe. This is because of the lunar day when the eclipse is taking place. It is the 14th, the 13th lunar day, and has to do with Akkad, which is mainly Europe. Partially, it may impact Iran. Negatively, they're trying to involve Iran also in wars and such situations. The second eclipse, it is in the evening watch. It is having impact apart from what you just said, where the shadow crosses, which areas of the planet the shadow is shadowing. It is in the evening watch from my perspective, and it is having very, very serious impact on Akkad, which again is Europe. So yes, it will influence America ominously, not well, not really positively, because the whole shadow crosses America, like you just said, but it will have to do also with Akkad, with Europe. Also, if we think that the direction of the shadow is, as I was seeing different simulations online, we cannot be sure. Usually, by the way, we have to see the eclipse and later comment, but people are not used to that. Then, people want to know in advance.
Yes.
Otherwise, we would see the color of the moon. We would see So, because if the direction of the shadow is, as I saw the simulations taking place, I'm not sure, of course, again, it will have very, very, especially the first eclipse, very, very serious impact on Europe.
Right.
On Europe, it may worsen. Yes, it may worsen the economic situation, the situation with refugees, because look what is happening, and also look what is happening. All eclipses from Sidereal, when you would tell me, if you want, how it looks from the tropical chart perspective, because sidereally, this is axis of Pisces Virgo. Pisces is the 12th house of zodiac, which is about refugees, diseases, the bad karma of the world, of us people, enemies, yes, health problems, and refugees. And both eclipses now in this corridor, sometimes they're not necessarily happening on the same axis, but now both happen on the same axis. Pisces, Virgo, which is health, 6th house of the zodiac, Virgo, which is the routine, changing of the routine of the people on the planet, and also 12th house of the zodiac.
Yes. Powerful. Well, in the tropical, the eclipse is falling on the axis of Libra Aries, and the first eclipse, the full moon eclipse, is in Libra. It's conjunct with a fixed star known as Zanaya. My research around that particular fixed star is that it's a very fortunate star and an honorable star, has the nature of Mercury and Venus. So I see if that fixed star plays into things, it could be beneficial. Plus the full moon eclipse is being trined by Pluto, which I think will be a good support. You know, it's still a intense energy. Pluto always is intense, as you know, but likely to be more of a support than anything disastrous from the perspective of the Western tropical view of things. But then the second eclipse, the solar eclipse, I think is going to be rather intense because it's in Aries, and we've currently got the North Node in Aries, which sort of triggers the moon to have a more intensity to it. Whenever we have the North Node in Aries, the moon has the capacity to go to her fullest declination. And when the moon is out of bounds, it's not out of bounds for this eclipse, thankfully, but when it's the North Node's in Aries, the moon has the potential to go to her greatest declination, making her quite a wild card. But there's also a conjunction of Mars and Saturn forming at the same time as this eclipse on the 8th of April, and it is conjunct with a fixed star. I need to read it because I'm not overly familiar with my Arabic star names, but Baton Katios, which is at 21 degrees of Aries, conjunct with the eclipse at 20 degrees of Aries. And this star is a star in my notes here of isolation, depression, accidents, and immigration, which is interesting, seeing as you have been talking about refugees. So definitely, and this fixed star has the nature of Saturn. So I think it's to my mind from this research, I think it's this second eclipse that could prove to be the more difficult of the two. I don't think the first one's going to be quite as, you know, hard, potent, if you like, in a negative way as the second. And of course, if anyone has planets around 20 degrees of Aries in the tropical system, or what is it?
24/5 Pisces. Yeah.
24/5 Pisces, thank you. Or even in the full moon eclipse, which is around 5 degrees of Libra, for the full moon eclipse on the 24th, 25th of March, depending where you are in the world. What would that be in the sidereal? What degree of Pisces? About 20 degree? No.
Take back 24 degrees. It will be last degrees of Pisces too. Yes.
Yes. So yes, we're having an interesting time ahead. An interesting time. What would you like? What did they practice apart from putting some poor dude on the throne to take the place of the king? What other remedies did they have?
I tell you, but you know, Ksenia, what you said about this star. I think this is exactly the star, because the story here is very interesting. The star in the arm of Andromeda. You know, Andromeda, not the nebula, Andromeda, the constellation.
Yes.
Arms, and it exactly makes sense what you said, because Andromeda in the mythology, she was a princess, daughter of Cepheus and Cassiope. And when her mother said to the nymphs that Andromeda, because she was very beautiful, and her mother said to the nymphs that she's more beautiful than them, so they got furious and they sent Neptune. What was his
Poseidon.
Poseidon. Poseidon. They sent Poseidon for revenge. So she was supposed to be given to the gods. But then Perseus on his Pegasus, the
Flying horse,
you know, came to save her, and he fell in love because she was very beautiful. So he saved her, but she was chained by her arm. So this is the chained arm of Andromeda. She was chained by her uncle, who she was promised to her uncle. She was supposed to marry her uncle, and he got also furious that she will be given to somebody else. It's a long story. And she was chained, and Perseus on Pegasus, you know, saved her. So we are having a situation, like you said, Saturnine, of sadness, isolation. So she was chained sitting on the chair chained, but she was freed. and the story has happy end because she married Perseus, who is also the warrior who decapitated the Medusa, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, so the story is also not so sad, but it's happening in these very dramatic and very, well, complex degrees.
Yes. And do you think, this is just your opinion, Krasi, do you think that that might actually be quite tied to the upcoming conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus, which we talked about in our last video together? People can check that out on Krasi's channel or on my channel if they want.
Yes.
But because
Yeah, everything.
The conjunction is occurring in the conjunct with Algol, which is part of the constellation of Medusa. If you project the stars onto the ecliptic plane, that is. So,
yes, yes, Kesenia, yes, because of course everything is connected, and you know, at that moment we have Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, Saturn-Mars conjunction, and you know, even more interesting, I will tell you when you look at the configuration, how the whole configuration looks like, it is forming something which is more known to the modern astrology, the Yod situation, you know, because you have, which always, I don't know, people give more negative connotation to this. I wouldn't. I just would say important. And also, in the moment of the eclipse, Saturn and Mars are conjoined, but they're invisible, which would say, to 1 degree, this is good because malefic planets invisible during eclipse is better than them being actively visible. So both are invisible.
yes.
And invisible, well, this is a small relief indeed, but they're invisible in the 20 degrees of Aquarius, which is considered, you know, sacred degree, because this is where the waters come out. The waterman, Aquarius, is pouring the water. And these are degrees. Unfortunately, when you have water, you have a lot, abundance, pouring, life. This is like, imagine Saturn, Mars conjoined, and a lot of this invisibility of them, like something is being planned.
You think behind the scenes?
Yes, yes, because when they are conjoined, Saturn, Mars together, on one hand, they are very practical. People with this conjunction would be very strong indeed, but this is also very warlike conjunction, very aggressive conjunction.
Yes, very
So
much.
this is what worries me a little bit, because this warlike conjunction is in the water, like a lot. And could be that there would be part of the war that will take place on the water.
Wow.
Maybe it's water, yes.
Gosh, that's
Because of the 12th house activation, Pisces, and because this conjunction, which means war, basically, is in the waters. So this is a bit something which bothers me. Also, what bothers me a bit is that the ancients say, if there is benevolent planet participating in the eclipse, the results would, the bad, the evil is denied. I didn't see really aspect from benevolent planet.
No. There's not. I mean, in the ancient Babylonian system, they're not looking at Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto.
No.
And of course, in the second eclipse, the solar eclipse, none of those planets will be interacting with the eclipse. In fact, no planets are forming any aspect.
Like we're left alone on the, you know, so yeah, this is a little bit serious, I would say.
What about personally for people?
We are.
Sorry.
Yes, no, no, exactly. Personally, people who have very well, Axis, Pisces, Virgo, or according to the modern astrology, this would be Libra, Aries. So this axis is a little bit afflicted, influenced, of course. Now, I believe during eclipse, which would say I take the whole corridor, take 24 of March to 8 of April. This is timing, especially if your horoscope is very much influenced by the eclipse, not to do much. I would say 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, but we cannot close ourselves at home and do nothing, of course, but we need to be more careful and not undertake like surgeries if we can, not to do or new businesses, new activities, because it's better to wait. Because this is portal for change. Now you have activation of these portals. Later on, you may have some new development, new events, new projects, new anything.
Yes. So let it flow through at the time, but don't force anything. Don't, if change is coming, allow it to happen, but don't be the one trying to instigate something new at this time. Is that what you're saying?
This is what I think. Yes.
I agree. So, Krasi, you are exceptional at making talismans, and we are going to tie this into the eclipse in a moment. If there might be some remedies, because that's what talismans are, aren't they? They're remedies for afflicted planets or weak planets to give more energy to a planet or a star that needs more empowerment in a person's life. So is there something, before we talk about the talismans, with that kind of idea around remedies in mind, is there something that we can be doing to perhaps strengthen the positive to come out of this eclipse rather than all the negative and difficult things?
Remedies, when you talk about talismans, they are amazing remedy, but not particularly meant for the eclipse or to restore,
you
your
won't be
world.
creating any talismans during the eclipse.
No, you create talismans. Yes, talismans have more global influence on your horoscope. For example, you need to support your the planet which is ruling your seventh house. Then you can, use this for supporting your love life or business. The talismans are meant to help your horoscope, and they have more global, like you can wear all your life one talisman and then you even leave it to your children. It's like that. It's very global influence, very lengthy if you want. Yes, when you strengthen your horoscope, then you will be less afflicted by unfortunate stellar events. You know what I mean?
I do. I want to just suggest in the Vedic system, if we want to strengthen the influence of Venus or Jupiter around the time of the eclipses so that we are, more in that benevolent energy, or if we wanted to even strengthen a protective energy, which would be the moon is the protective energy in the Vedic system, we would like wear moon colors, which is sort of pearl colors and white colors, that protective energy of the moon. Venus is green kind of colors. In some Vedic systems, there's a bit of variance between Mercury and Venus there. Venus is associated with green in the Vedic system because she is the ruler of nature, and the natural world being green. And then Jupiter is royal colors like orange and purple. And so, if you could wear colors like that, if you know about gemstones, you could carry a gemstone for a positive planet like the moon or like Jupiter or something at the time, for generating a more positive energy in your field at the time of the eclipse would be what I would suggest to people who want to go into that type of thing.
Very true. Very true. This is the main remedy. Not also emotionally, not overly concentrate or attach, be obsessed with this eclipse. Just do your normal thing, but of course be more careful. I have two very misfortunate events during eclipses when I was stuck on a long drive in the forest, and my car during the eclipse, Kesenya, it was a lunar eclipse, my car with my two children behind lost electricity in the middle of the night.
Oh no.
During the eclipse, can you imagine? I was just driving quickly and I was hoping to avoid the eclipse. I was thinking I have to get home before the eclipse. And then suddenly it got dark. It was a very long trip. And suddenly in the forest on a mountain road, no electricity. It was dark like I don't know, dark completely. It was very, very, very big disaster for me. I was very afraid,
What did you do?
nothing. I just waited for a car to help me, and people came and helped me.
Oh,
I
thank you.
couldn't even call help because in the forest, I was thinking who come, and actually these people helped me, and help came. Thanks God, there are some very nice people in the world,
Yes,
very
we're always grateful when we encounter people like that, aren't we? I
yes,
had
people helped me. But the eclipse, I was just looking at the moon darkening just next to this thing. No, it's not, can't be true. You can't imagine. You can't imagine. That's why I know during eclipse I don't travel if I can avoid it.
Yes, yes, that's very wise, very wise. I've told this story on my channel a number of times, but I lost a job when I had an eclipse on my sun, and sun rules career. And it was devastating. At the time I was like, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to feed my family? Oh my God, what am I going to do?
I know.
And it was, eclipses are active for about 6 months. And I was looking for work for 6 months and really in a spot. Had to cash in my life insurance, so feed us and everything. But then really threw myself into astrology as a full-time occupation rather than just on the side. And I've never looked back. It was, eclipses, I feel, Krasi, yes, they can create crisis events in our lives, absolutely. But in the end, I've always found in my observation that they are designed to take us more into our purpose and our destiny, even though it feels
Yes,
like the rug has
portals for
been
change. Exactly.
exactly. So
Same
portal
to
for
me.
change.
Ksenia, same happened to me with the eclipse on my ascendant. Many years ago, I was doing astrology only part-time. Same happened to me. This eclipse changed. In the beginning, I was very upset, when I lost my job many years ago, but it was all for good. At
Yes,
that time, I didn't know, and I was very sad. It happened with eclipse on my ascendant.
yes.
Same story like yours, the
Yep.
same.
And I've had clients who've gone through divorces, an end of relationship. They think it's the end of the world at the time, and they come out the other side and go, actually, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Or they meet somebody wonderful. Sometimes eclipses can cause you to encounter somebody new, that changes your life and shakes you out of a rut that you're in. Like things happen that are usually very big events in life happen as a result of eclipses. And you have
I
to
know
keep that
people,
big
not
vision in mind.
I know ladies who said I got pregnant during the eclipse, and this is not only one case.
Oh, wow.
I know it from clients, from people. Yes, they said eclipses are bad. Yes, but they are such big. They bring such big shift.
Yep. Yep.
Really,
Well,
like
in the Vedic
major.
system, they're the south node is karma, the north node is future destiny. So they're all about the past and the future and realigning you with your true mission if you've got off the path, with what you're truly authentically here to do. Very, very powerful times, So I actually get quite excited around eclipse time. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen now? It could be horrible, but I'm still like
Well, I am
intrigued.
still not excited around eclipses, Ksenia. I'm not. I'm not excited, but I'm trying to take it as something very normal. Not to be upset, not to be worried. But in terms of talismans, this is the whole thing. Let's imagine your horoscope as a tree, and when you shake the tree, only the apples which are not holding tightly will fall. When everything is very steady, nothing is falling. That's what I mean. So in general, the talismans are to support the tree, your general horoscope, and they do amazing work. In what you see now in the excavations, I know you are so much into Egypt. You mentioned about your
The trip.
plant event.
Yeah.
Yes, and you will see, and you've seen, and what they find. These pieces of jewelry, none of them is without purpose. All of them are talismans.
Exactly. And
All of them.
I can't wait to go to Egypt and just check out some of the lapis lazuli was a big one, and malachite they used to use a lot of in their jewelry. Fantastic. And I'm actually wearing your talismans today. This was a Regulus one you made for me, and I wear it often. Sometimes it's not visible, it's tucked into my clothes, but I'm wearing it out today. I like to wear it close to my heart. And it's very powerful for me in my chart in the tropical system. My Mars is conjunct with Regulus. Actually, I forgot to look up whether that's actually a good thing or not. But
Oh,
yeah.
Ksenia, Say it, say it. I want to tell you something about regulars, but say it, please. Excuse
No,
me for
please
interrupting.
go. No, not at all. Go ahead, Krasi. I wasn't going to say anything.
No, Regulus, this is a good case example. You have Mars conjoined to Regulus. Regulus is the heart of the lion. This is a small affliction. This can give you, when you're 120 years old, some small challenges with your heart, with Mars in Regulus. When you strengthen the heart, because what above, so below, what is happening in the heart of the lion, this is in your chart, it can affect you. When you're strengthening the heart, you have much higher chances the affliction to be very weak, not really to influence you badly. This is a good example.
Yep. So there's the protective energy there. Well, is any wonder I want to wear it close to my heart then? That's perfect.
Very
That's
appropriate
perfect.
length of the chain right on your heart chakra.
Yeah. It's lovely. And it's just beautiful.
Exactly
I
for
love wearing
protection.
it. Yes. So the Regulus talisman is for protection because I have Mars on that point. Would that be right? Yes. So it's all very
more
chart
than right,
specific,
yes.
isn't it? It's the talismans that you get are very chart specific, and you do readings of people's charts to explain to them this is the talisman that's most suited to you. Another one I'm wearing now, actually, Krasi, is this peridot ring. I'll hold it up.
I think so. Peridot.
Yes. And that's a
Mercury.
Mercury ring. Yes, I got that Mercury. You recommended Mercury, and you're using the sidereal system, and Mercury is very weak in my chart actually. But you were using the sidereal system to make your analysis and suggested getting the Mercury. But what is intriguing to me is that my Mercury in the tropical system is my 7th house lord. It rules Virgo. In the tropical system, I'm Pisces rising with a Virgo 7th house, and relationships have always been heavy affliction for me because my Mercury is so weak. And so I've been wearing this talisman, Krasi, for years, ever since I got it. I think I must have got it at sort of around 2020, 2019, something like that. I can't quite recall. And friends, it is so beautiful how you send your talismans. They come in beautiful little case with petals and flowers and scents, and it's so gorgeous. But I've been wearing this ever since, and my viewers know, I'm not sure if your viewers know, but having been single for 13 odd years now, I have met, probably not too long after I got this talisman, maybe a year or so after I got it and started wearing it, met my now fiance and love of my life, David. And, you know, I'm crediting it to many things, of which like the astrological alignments were a big factor, but this empowerment is also something I credit for the love that's now in my life. So very beautiful, very powerful, and I'm very grateful to you, Krasi, for
thank you.
work
Thank you for sharing, Ksenia. Thank you for sharing. Very, very much. Thank you. You know, let's say that because we say talismans, people don't exactly know what this is. This is astrologically chosen moment of consecration of the piece of jewelry. And this particular consecration ritual, consecration momentum, is actually made as a combination of many factors. First, we choose the appropriate astrological timing, which sometimes is very unique. Ksenia, imagine now if we do talismans of Saturn in Aquarius, how unique this is, one time in 30 years, you know. So it is usually, sometimes, of course, with Venus, we are luckier. More often we have the opportunity to make Venus talismans, but take Jupiter, take Saturn, these moments are not very often, you know, to benefit from. So we're taking the astrological moment when the planet or the star are very highly dignified, very well placed, no afflictions. There are many, many, many factors to consider in order to build the astrological chart. And then the talisman is ruling, the planet is ruling the gemstone, the metal, the herb, the essential oil, colors, many things, and all this participates in the consecration moment of invocation of the planet. So we're invoking the planet only for good. Now, here comes the thing, you know, when people are a little bit more advanced in astrology, they automatically become interested in astrological magic. The important thing is to be interested and to practice only magic like that is helping. Once you go on the bad road, you are completely destroying your karma, the karma of others, the karma of yourself, and so we use these moments only for helping, which is what? Your health, support your horoscope, all in this direction. So this is basically very shortly what the talismans are. Yes, they can help. Like we say in Bulgarian, you know, we say the tiny stone can turn the car.
Ah,
You know? The tiny
that's a
stone
great
can break the
saying.
car. The tiny stone is break. Yeah. So this is a small. This could be a small or big element of support in your horoscope. This can support your health. This can, when you talk about prescribing of talismans, the way you're prescribing medications to somebody, this is how it is. But with the exception of the royal stars, they are always good because they always have the very high purpose of increasing the luck. You are wearing regulars. This is the heart of the lion. We say lion's heart. You say, who is having the lion's heart? You know, the Richard Lionheart, the one who is very courageous, who dares, who is always there, always in a good mood, always joyful. This is heart of the lion. The good mother. Who is the best mother in the jungle? The lioness,
The
right? This is
lioness,
the So protection, and the ancients say when person has well placed one of the four royal stars, the blessing of the gods will be multiplied because they bring luck.
Wow.
So for this, you don't even need prescription. You feel attracted to Aldebaran, you wear Aldebaran. You felt attracted to Regulus. This is always for intuitive reason. You're supporting your, Regulus. This will, by the way, will make you also less sensitive to people's, sometimes negative energy.
I need that. That's perfect.
So
That's what I need. Wonderful. What about, I know that Speaker is the only other fixed star that's not a royal star who sits on the ecliptic plane. Do you work with Speaker as well?
Speaker is one of my favorites. Speaker is, you have the celestial woman, the virgin woman lying on the ecliptic, and she's holding the wheat, the stalk of wheat, and this is very beautiful. I know the Indians, by the way, use emerald especially for Speaker, for trade, commerce.
They use emeralds, really?
Yes. You can use also peridot. They have colors, so you can, it's not, emerald is a beautiful choice, but you can take peridot, you can take green tourmaline, you can take aventurine, many options.
My engagement ring is an emerald, so I didn't know that was associated with Speaker. How beautiful! And sorry, I just get a bit excited, but Speaker is conjunct my 5th house lord, the moon. So I love.
But that's why you're an astrologer.
Yeah.
This is your astrology. This is your astrology.
Yeah.
This is because the lion woman is the goddess Nisaba. She's ruling astrology in the ancient world.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yes.
It's conjunct Uranus too, which is also modern astrology as well. So
also astrology.
Amazing. So Krasi, you've got some rings on. Are you able to tell us a little bit about the ones you're wearing?
Algol, the Medusa Gorgon protection head.
Oh wow, that's powerful.
For money, for money and power.
We all want that. That's great. So that's Aldebaran, is it?
Aldebaran, yes. Yes. And this is, this is the image of Iona Moneta, the Roman mother of Mars, and she's Moneta, money. She's also protective. She's gorgeous. You have in astrology, as you know, every planetary day is ruled by a planet. Monday, moon day. So Apollonius of Tyana, who is called the he was also called the Jesus of the Balkans. He actually went to India, and the Indian sages gave him a very special talisman, talismans, and he was wearing a different ring on the different planetary day. On Monday, it would be the moon. On Tuesday would be Mars. And this is always appropriate, Ksenia.
Wow.
On Wednesday, it will be, yes, on Wednesday, it will be, of course, Mercury, Thursday, Jupiter, Friday, Venus, Saturn day, Saturn, Sunday, Sun, obviously,
Yes.
So
Yes.
there is logic how to wear those. I personally wear them as I feel like. I don't follow exactly these days because sometimes I would be attracted to regulars than I would wear regulars. It depends on your...
Trusting your intuition. That's exactly what we all need to do. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yes, and you feel today you need...
Not necessarily even ancient times, but the consecration of jewels, like you're talking about, is done in crowns and royal jewelry, basically. So there's a lot of energy in those royal jewels that are they're always consecrated to the...
Always. They're not stupid.
No.
They know.
Yes, that's true. So people, if you want some consecrated jewelry, you need to get a reading with Krasi and get wearing your jewels like the royals do.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Just look, let's say Google crowns, different crowns they have, and just look at the gemstones on the crowns, and it will make very much sense for you. What is the combination, what they aim with this, it's...
Yeah. Right. So you can, with your skills, Krasi, and what you do, you can actually read a crown to understand what they're trying to invoke. Wow.
Yes, maybe this is strong word, reading, but just when you see the gemstones involved and when you know who is their ruler, you can imagine, what they really...
That's an incredible
for what purpose
art. That's an incredible art in and of itself, Krasi. I have
it
to
is.
ask, do you teach workshops in this sort of thing? Because I can imagine that would be very, very popular.
I had 2 workshops, indeed, on this. Yes.
Right. So if people want to find out more about how they can get a reading from you and order an appropriate talisman to support their chart from you, they can just head to the link in the description below on my channel's version of this video, or on Krasi's version. You'll have the link as well in the description.
Thank you.
Yes?
Thank you very much, Ksenia. Thank you very much.
I hope you get lots of readings, because this is so powerful, and I've experienced it myself in my life as well. Krasi, do you want to, perhaps we could close by sharing some stories of talisman? You were telling me before we started recording some talisman stories. That was so interesting, and I love a good story. So take it away, Krasi.
Many stories. There are many stories. One, for example, there is one lady in the States. She had Aldebaran. This is a story I told you previously, Ksenia. So she had Aldebaran, and she just received the Aldebaran, and she was applying. I'm not sure how this is organized in America. People will understand what I'm saying. Maybe, the wording would not be exact, but she was applying for either a studio or apartment with socially somehow. And I think this application was valid for many years, and she wouldn't have the answer. And after she got Aldebaran, she had the positive answer. This was one of the cases. Then I have cases, many times, I have cases of improved relationship, like people which were on the edge of divorcing or separating from each other. They would have improved relationship simply with Venus. A talisman, let's say. Such cases, I have many. I have case of one lady. I told you this was amazing. This was one of the first responses I got, and I can't forget it because it's very strong, very powerful. This is a lady which said she was short. I don't know, because I don't know. She said she was very tiny and she didn't feel comfortable with herself from being tiny. I didn't see any problem with her when I was speaking, but this is her own perception of herself, you know. So she was planning a very painful operation, surgery for making herself lengthy, for doing something with her length. And once she got the Venus talisman, she canceled. She said, "I'm not planning anymore to do the surgery." So this for me was very, very powerful case. I have many cases, many I have with improved relationships which were like falling apart. In these directions, many, or cases when the luck was being improved and people would be reaching something that they would be
So what do you
aiming
get
at
asked
in this
most
direction
for?
also quite often.
Do you get asked most for relationship-based talismans, or?
Mainly. And that's why oftentimes, very, very often, you know, Ksenia, people have afflicted seventh house, afflicted ruler of the seventh house. This is very powerful now. Saturn is very, very difficult when badly placed in the horoscope. And here come the two things, you know. When Saturn is badly placed, I always have the dilemma. If I prescribe Saturn talisman, but the person is not really spiritually advanced to work with this energy, which is what? Doing a little bit of more applying more discipline, being a little bit more time-oriented, a little bit higher in morals, you know, improving these three main energies which Saturn requires from us. So if I prescribe Saturn who is badly placed and the person wouldn't apply this particular Saturn in directions, then there is a risk that the talisman not only will not work, but can even, I don't know, maybe do further affliction on the horoscope.
Right.
But when I see that the person is really awake, wants to apply, the Saturn in rules, which are not bad, never bad, then I'm prescribing Saturn and it works. Like people have a bit easier transits of Saturn. Imagine badly placed Saturn who is transiting on your ascendant. It is always very hard.
Yes, I've got Saturn on my ascendant.
But when already...
But it must be like, I imagine Saturn would be a very powerful talisman because Saturn rules rocks, and that's what all these jewels are. Like, they're from the ground, they're Saturnian ruled, generally speaking, things. Like, each color has an association with different planets and what have you, but generally as a collective, rocks and minerals are Saturn oriented, are they not?
Very, very true. Exactly. Saturn rules the bad karma, not the karma. He rules the tears, the sadness. And if you want him to, if you don't do anything, and he's difficult in your horoscope, you really will go through these lessons in the most difficult way. But if you say, I accept this energy, I want to work with them, I want to get the most of them, he's the only ruler, Ksenia, who teaches wisdom. Who else will teach you wisdom in the horoscope? I don't know who, only Saturn.
Well, you say is quite wise, but he does it in a different way, and often we learn
easier way.
Yeah.
Yes. But if you say, I want to work with this energy, I want to improve my karma fast now, then you work with Saturn, but immediately you do it with your consciousness, you know what you're doing. Then even for a very bad placement of Saturn in the horoscope, such talisman can do miracles to improve to help you on the path.
Yes.
On your path,
Wonderful. So it really depends on the person's state of being. Like, they might have an afflicted Saturn, but if they're willing and if they're accepting of Saturnian energy, that energy can be empowered to
work with this. Like you say, if I would deviate from the truth before, I will not do this anymore, because Saturn is the truth. also all about the truth, not to deviate from the truth by no means. Even, you know, our Bulgarian master being Sadhunu is saying, with every lie, you take one step distance from God.
He was very
So
well.
if you're willing really to, very well put, right? So if you want really to, you know, to improve your karma, immediately you will feel it as improvement.
Yeah.
Less hardships, because you are on, you say, I'm on the path. I'm on the path of, you know, of morals, of self-discipline a little bit.
Yeah.
And so
It's healthy.
this is
It's
just
really, it's
examples.
a sign of maturity, isn't it, to work well with your Saturn?
Oh, yeah.
What
Oh,
about the outer
yeah.
planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto? You wouldn't do talismans for those three, would you?
You cannot, Ksenia. I do them as a combination. I use, let's say, you cannot do, because when are you seeing them really brilliantly placed? Is now when Uranus you enter Taurus? Is he really highly dignified? Well, I don't know, you know. Therefore, I use them as in a combination. Let's say there is a powerful combination now of Jupiter Uranus, then I will do Jupiter talismans, who is benefiting eventually from this energy. You know what I mean? But only Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Neptune is in sidereal Pisces. I may do such talismans, but really more as combination with the other planets.
Yeah, this must be a very rare period in history, because Neptune is in sidereal Pisces and in tropical Pisces right now as well, which only happens sort of once every 140 years, that Neptune's in its own rulership in both systems. So very interesting, powerful times. It would be probably good to do to do some Neptune.
I never thought. But you give me good idea. I have to. Yes, I may do indeed such talismans, because the Neptunian energy has to do with the Great Awakening and very good energies of. I don't look at Neptune with these negative eyes, like people say. His deception is not necessarily.
Yeah. Well, every planet has a shadow and light side, and we can't just focus on the shadow all the time, you know. Like Saturn is wonderful, like when we work with him well. We need him, or else, you know, we have no spine, we have no backbone, we have no structure. We're
exactly
boneless if we have no Saturn. Yeah.
Very well said. Very true. And you cannot really grow truly on your path spiritually without him, because he's ruling the karma.
Yes. No, so we've got to, I love the way you look at things, Krasi, because we have to look at the positive of all planets, and all planets have a positive side.
I'm trying, Kesenya. Sometimes it's hard for me, you know, to look positively, you know, but we have to, because we are creating our own reality. We are powerful.
Yes.
And we are, by the way, and we are powerful indeed. I learned this. I had, you know, if we would be speaking just 2 years ago, before the pandemic, Ksenia, I would be like thinking that everything is, your horoscope is your passport. You come with this passport, you follow. And I even had such video. I'm ashamed of this video. I have to delete it from my channel, video of 3-4 years ago, when I was saying, come with your karma, with your horoscope, and there is so little you can do. It's not true. I learned after we were blessed with this timing to live through, because we learned the living astrology. Actually, we learned a lot. And I can tell you now for certain that we can influence our reality. For certain.
Yes. And this talismans are a part of that, of empowering us. And I love that. Krasi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just beautifully said. Thank you so much for coming back on my channel and for having me in this video on your channel. It's been wonderful. And I love this topic. I could talk about this topic all day long. Friends, if you have not had Krasi do your chart and talk about getting a talisman with her, please do. It's just the most beautiful, beautiful thing you could do for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm approach to this also. Thank you, Ksenia, very much.
And good luck, everybody, with the eclipse gateway or corridor. May you be blessed, and may the outcome be something that takes you further into your meaning and your purpose and your destiny. Krasi, thank you for being here, and we will do another
Thank you,
video
Ksenia.
together again soon.
With pleasure. Thank you, Ksenia, very much.